Head of Student Council Girls, Liza Wahi for you.
Wow, okay. Namaste, Manika ma'am, Sudha ma'am, Chavi ma'am, members of the senior management team, parents, grandparents, slightly distant relatives, teachers, students, and of course, the batch of 2022. We finally made it. It's been 14 years of headaches that send us to the nurse room, and empty water bottles that left us roaming in the corridor for half the period, and magically disappearing homework notebooks. And yet, I don't know what to say. I attempted to write this speech, much like the way most science kids study organic chemistry. With months of, ho jayega, don't worry, followed by a caffeine-induced panic 2 days before, eventually resulting in a false and entirely inaccurate faith in my abilities. However, after crying about it for over a week, like I did after getting my chemistry marks, this speech was finally written. I've been given the task of taking you all through our journey as a batch, which would be manageable except for the fact that we have Parth and Shri in our batch, who would read an entire speech to themselves. That being said, I'll try my best. I'll start our journey with 9th grade instead of 6th, because I think most of us would rather not acknowledge the 3 years that were middle school, which can only be summed up with start talking talk more polls, take me back Instagram captions, and anonymous Q&As. 9th grade is when we began to truly utilize the opportunities school gives us, which for a certain someone in our grade meant setting the record for most number of relationships in a 4-month span. Whether it's MUNs, societies, sports tournaments, hackathons, or even prom mornings, the school gave us all the opportunity to figure out what it was we wanted to do and who we wanted to be. We were given a safe space to try new things, voice our opinions, and learn from our mistakes. Fast forward to 10th grade, our first board year. And though we didn't know it at the time, our last proper school year. It was the first time most of us experienced real pressure. And so naturally, we responded by putting up blank stories on Instagram saying off, only to rejoin a week later. But for me personally, it was the year I learned that not everyone will stay in your life forever. Not every relationship you have will last. And no matter how hard you try to hold on to it, that won't change. Best friends will become acquaintances, and friend groups will eventually split up. But some relationships are there to stay, and those are the ones to hold on to. So take a minute to appreciate the people who have stayed, who have supported you and stuck with you. To all the parents sitting here today, I know I speak for the entire batch when I say thank you. Thank you for giving in to our childish desires and for letting us learn by making our own mistakes. We don't say it enough, but none of us would be sitting here today if it wasn't for you. 11th grade. The year began with most of us grateful for what was initially supposed to be a 2-week break from school. An opportunity that the multi-talented individuals of our grade used to showcase their ultimate dance skills by making their Instagram accounts public and uploading reels. Ria Grover, I'm looking directly at you. It's also the year that the Indian Marketplace was founded, an organization that is responsible for 90% of our grade getting into college. We all used our newfound time constructively by reliving our childhood through intense games of Ludo King and Uno. And before we knew what was happening, 12th came along. The year of lasts. Our last first day of school. Our last samosa from the canteen. Our last PE. It's funny how 2-3 years ago, all any of us ever wanted was nothing more than to grow up and go off to college. And now, what we wouldn't give to go back. TSRS Aravali has always been the place where we could be whoever we wanted to be. without any judgment. And that's what makes it so special and so hard to leave behind. I don't know if it's the buzz of the children in the corridor or the namastes, but this will always be home. However, this speech would be incomplete without the people who have made it so. To my teachers, whether you were my class teacher or didn't teach me, please know your words will always stay with me. Whether it was a one-line conversation in the corridor or an in-depth discussion in class. Thank you for all of your guidance and all of your effort, especially these last 2 years. Alka ma'am, I'm not sure if you're here today, but every computer class that you ended with a keep smiling left us all feeling a little bit happier and a little bit lighter. Thank you for always listening to our problems, even if you couldn't do anything to solve them. To 12S1. Between Shlok's head accessories, Shri's constant interruptions in math to ask the most irrelevant questions, and Arnav Mishra's mic mysteriously never working, these past 2 years wouldn't have been half as great without you. A special shout out to Aisha, Soham and Shrivastava for always dealing with me. Shri, I'm not entirely sure how we became friends, but you going into random classes only to shout "See" and then leave was the highlight of this year for me. To my first friend group, which somehow also ended up becoming my last. Patni, Agastya, Karwal, Kabir, Arhan, Anya, Ahana, Naina, Prisha. Some of you scare me. And some of you are only here because you said you would hijack the stage if I didn't mention you. But I'm so glad each of you are in my life. To the senior council. The 13 of you are some of the most talented people I know. And I couldn't have chosen a better team to work with even if I tried. To Indra, the only person who could make me cry. You're that one person that everyone needs in their life. Wait, Indra, where are you? Okay, there you are. You're genuinely good, and I don't think you realize how rare and special that is. I'm constantly amazed by how strong you are, and I don't know how I went 12 years without knowing you. I'm so lucky to have you in my life, and I can never thank you enough for it. To Shaurya. Your sense of style never ever fails to horrify me, including this morning when you walked in with your Jordan 13s. I don't know of anyone else who would first spend 25 minutes defending a neon blue jacket, only to then say he would never wear it again the moment Shri says he has the same one. You're one of the most hardworking people I know, and your sense of self is something I will always admire. Also, I can't wait to tell people I have friends at IIT. To Zorawar, the only constant in my love life, whether it was 5th, 10th or 12th, you were the last person I wanted as head boy. Mainly because I didn't like you, but also because the 3-foot height difference would render me looking like your younger sibling. That being said, there's no one else I could have spent 4 hours with, re-recording the same 15-minute intro I know for a fact that maybe 10% of the people sitting in this hall watched. I'm glad you're now someone I consider a friend. P.S. Both your best friends love me more. To Ira. Ira, where are you? Okay, sorry. You've been my rock for the last 5 years, and the prospect of having you stick around for the next 4 is one of the only reasons I haven't started crying yet. Your passion for the things you care about is inspiring, and your uncanny ability of always being right is just downright annoying. Whether it's coding workshops or fireball watercolor tournaments, you've been there through it all with me. And it's made the roller coaster that is high school easier to tackle. To Aviraj. You are, and always will be, my most problematic friend. I don't know how we became friends, but somehow you went from being the annoying, bearded guy, always sucking up to seniors, to my best friend. You're somehow the only person who knows when something's wrong, yet never knows what to say beyond, who do I need to deal with? I know I don't say it enough, but I love you. Thank you for being my person. To Myra. You're my sister, mother, and therapist, all rolled into one. You've been there for me through everything, the good and the bad. You're the person I can always count on to come through, and I don't know how I function without you. Whether it's 3 floors or 3,000 kilometers, you'll always be the person I call in the middle of the night, and you'll always be family. To Arnav Haldia. The boy who makes me laugh the hardest and smile the widest. The one who never ceases to amaze me and never lets me hear the end of it either. You've quickly become one of the most important people in my life, and I don't think I'd have it any other way. It's hard for me to express how much you mean to me, because what do you even say to someone who knows what you're thinking before you start speaking? Thank you for being my comfort person, for being the only one who can calm me down when I'm stressed, and making me laugh till I cry. No matter where we go from here, you'll always have a place in my heart.
I love you.
To my family, Kyra, you're the only person who could scream at me and say you're never going to speak to me again, and then come back 5 minutes later for a hug because you fought with Mama Papa. Whether it's the don't stress, all the best before every exam, or valuing my work at exactly 2 rupees as a pillow. Your creativity and energy will never surprise me. Papa, you said you'd walk out of the MBR if I mentioned you, because you can't handle the Rona Dhona, even though I have never ever seen you get emotional. You're the most eccentric person I know, and despite what you say about being sick of me, I know you'll miss me the most when I'm gone. You're the one who's always kept me grounded when I go off track, and you've always been there for me to pick me up when I fall. Mama, the last mention, the most important mention. You threatened to disown me after hearing my investiture speech because I didn't mention you even once. So here it is. You've always been my #1 cheerleader, and your constant reminders about an all-expenses-paid trip around the world will never be forgotten. You're the most giving person I know, and despite what Papa says about his ability to manage the family, I don't think any of us would be able to go more than 4 days without you. You are the reason I am who I am today. One of the things that this school has always given us is the opportunity to express ourselves, our thoughts, our views, and our opinions. But in a day and age where people's actions are dictated by the fear of not being cancelled, the very opinion we're trying to express loses meaning. If you're writing an article about a cause or a topic, don't write it to put it on a college essay or to win an award. Write about it because you're truly passionate about it, because you need to talk about it, because you'll do anything it takes, including replacing every plastic straw in your gown with a paper one, if that's what it takes. If you're going to do or say something, make sure it's because you care enough about it. To the batch of 2022. Whether it was making 5 separate forms to settle on the color of our badge hoodie, because each one was declared more biased than the last, or the undying love that Parth and Shri have for one another, or even expressing our views using mango-flavored juice. It's been a blast, but all good things must come to an end. Today, we leave the place we've called home for so long, and we go out to try and find what it is each of us cares about. 4 months from now, most of us will be in different countries. 4 years from now, we may not even remember what school life was like. And though today we leave the school knowing nothing will be the same anymore, we get to take comfort in the fact that as we move forward to different directions, a part of us will always remain with this school and with this batch. Aravali, though I may not have interacted with you as much as I would have liked, it's been a pleasure to have the opportunity to see each of you grow and figure out new ways to get out of trouble with each passing year. So, for the first and very last time, this is your head girl, Liza Wahi, signing off.